Welcome everybody to Forecasting with Friends. There's a lot of alliteration here going on. So we have a freezing Forecasting with Friends. We'll have that next week. It's also Furry Friends Friday. Even though I'm here, Allison's not here today, but you know, even in her absence, we're going to do a little sort of shortened version of Furry Friends Friday with some important, with an important story here coming up in just a moment. We have the weekend upon us. We are watching the evolution of this polar air that's coming down into the USA. It's also going to affect, by the way, our Texans playing in Kansas City tomorrow. So wish them all the best of luck. So let me show you the latest that we know, some of the newest information that's coming in, and still some of the stuff that we're, you know, a little bit unsure about. So through the day, heading into tomorrow, we're looking for north winds to kick in. So we're going to have a front come through first thing tomorrow morning. And there may be a few showers ahead of it. In fact, I'll show you the showers here on the radar in just a minute. So we'll have a few off and on light showers today. And then a front will move through tomorrow morning. And that's going to begin the process of pulling in that cooler, drier air for us. So tomorrow looks breezy. Sunday is really going to be like a biting cold wind. And then the same thing on Monday. It's just going to be very cold. And wouldn't it be impossible that like Monday afternoon or evening we get a couple of flakes? This is the latest look at the GFS model, the American computer model. And notice here how it's kind of layered. Northern communities are blue, meaning that the atmosphere is cold enough for a thick enough layer to support snow. Across the Houston area, we're starting out early on Tuesday morning with the chance for freezing rain or sleet, which is dangerous because it makes roadways slick. And then even to the south, even though it's green, if it does leave slick spots on the roadways, they will have a chance of freezing either Tuesday morning or maybe freezing on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So this latest run of the GFS is actually showing some snow. You can bet, though, that this is going to change. We get 4 runs per day of this model, and as we get closer to Tuesday, we'll have a lot more of our short-term models that are higher resolution that we'll be able to get their opinion as well. But for right now, we're looking for that precip chance coming in on Tuesday, and then this is a look at Wednesday morning. It looks like everything is going to clear out, but it's just going to be extremely cold. So here's what we're looking at, and this is why it's always so difficult to determine, especially here along the Gulf Coast, whether or not we're going to get streaks of snow or whether it's just going to be cold rain or sleet. Right now, it looks like the panel all the way on the left, which is rain, is actually less likely because we're going to be freezing at the surface very likely. So then we're looking at one of the other 3. So all the way on the right-hand side is an example of what happens when the air is freezing from the surface all the way up to the cloud level and well into the cloud level. So that way the snowflakes form and they're frozen the whole time. So they don't melt and they just fall as those beautiful flakes that we all want to see, and it's not really that big of a deal. In fact, if anything, it's a happy occurrence. Now, if you get sleet, which is where the snowflakes melt in a layer above the ground, turn back into raindrops, and then freeze as they're falling into the cold air near the ground, that's sleet, which is still interesting to see. Usually it doesn't cause huge problems. It's not as fun as snow, but it's, you know, not as bad as freezing rain. Now, freezing rain is when you have water, liquid water, that freezes on contact. So that is where ice forms on tree branches, on power lines, on roofs, on cars. That's the worst. That's what we don't want, but it is a concern. It's definitely a possibility. So what we know right now is that we are definitely anticipating frigid air, and I would also add dangerous wind chill values. Coming up starting on Sunday morning, you will feel it, and it'll get even worse heading into Monday. So windy and cold weather for the marathon, wind chills probably in the teens for the MLK Day parades, and confidence is rising for some snow and ice on Tuesday. Look, I put show and ice. See that? I'm thinking it was like an ice skating show. Anyway, snowfall amounts are still uncertain. Could be an inch of snow or more, especially north of I-10. We don't know quite how serious the ice will be, although I would place bets that we won't have school on Tuesday. Not we, but you know, the children will not have school on Tuesday, I don't think, and maybe even Wednesday. Freeze unless something significant changes. Freezing temperatures coming up on Tuesday morning, about 23 in Conroe. Of course, these are subject to change, but this is what it looks like now. 26 Katy, 27 Houston, 26 Sugar Land, about 32 Galveston. So let's enjoy what we have going on right now, which is a slight warm up. Yesterday we had a high temperature of 66. Now we're already at 63. And you see that S11 for the winds. That is a south wind at 11 miles per hour. That's very important because it's going to give us really our last warm day for a while. And I know I'm using this term warm loosely, but actually running above average on our temperatures for the day today. Of course, it is not going to stay that way. It's about to change big time, and that's going to affect people and pets. And so as we get into Furry Friends Friday here, this is a very important message from Fort Bend County. So Fort Bend County Animal Services needs your help sheltering some of their animals ahead of this Arctic blast. 40 dogs at that shelter are housed outside in kennels. So they don't have room indoors for the dogs anymore. The dogs are housed outside. The outside kennels are heated, but the hope is to get the dogs into a nice warm home, at least for the next few days during this big freeze. They're going to provide you with the pet food. Adoption fees are also waived, so if you make a love connection with the dog that you're fostering with, then you could keep the dog and not have to pay anything. And that is, you know, it's like you're doing a great service, you're doing a good deed, and then you might make a best friend. So fosters, even if you just want to keep the dog for 5 days or a week, it's really going to help them out a lot. So Fort Bend County Animal Services, you could find them on Google. You just Google it. That's what you do.
We'll provide if you need food. We have black crates, so we can give you a kennel, you know, to temporarily house. We have blankets, you know, whatever it takes. I mean, if you can help us, we'll be more than happy to help you. If you fall in love, we could always do a foster to adopt. And if you don't, then, you know, you bring the animal back and we'll keep the process going.
If you want to pick them up, they ask that you come by tomorrow at 3 p.m. because it's going to start getting a whole lot colder after that. And then, of course, you know, you've got the holiday weekend. So details of pictures of the dogs and all of that good stuff can be found on their website. And you could find a link to it through our website at fox26houston.com. All right, now to an animal that does not have fur, but you know what? Close enough, a reptile. More than 40 sea turtles are going to be released back into the Gulf of Mexico today. This is happening at Stewart Beach, which is off of Seawall Boulevard, kind of on the east end of Galveston Island. Parking is free if you'd like to check it out. Now, obviously, people would be concerned to say, well, gosh, you're releasing these animals out into these frigid temperatures, or at least soon to be frigid temperatures. But here's the deal. The Gulf Coast Center posted a statement on Facebook saying in part that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and NOAA really want us to turn these healthy turtles around quickly once they warm up and get them back home. Also, they need room in their hospital for more stunned turtles next week. We released these turtles into the Gulf of Mexico because it's warmer than it is in the back bays, and that's true. So the shallower waters that are like on the bay side of Galveston are going to get a whole lot colder than the Gulf of Mexico waters. So yeah, the turtles are going to be good. They'll be happy to be released out there into the Gulf of Mexico. All right, for better or worse, we might just be one step closer to a real-life Jurassic Park. This is really a Furry Friends Friday, okay? A Texas-based company says that it has secured $200 million in funding to bring back animals from extinction. First question out of the way, they are not bringing back dinosaurs yet, but they are bringing back that furry guy, or at least they're going to try to. The company is called Colossal Biosciences, and they're working to bring back, yes, the woolly mammoth. Also the Tasmanian tiger. Tasmanian tiger was like a striped animal. I think it was a dog, actually. But anyway, it was a dog-like animal. Became extinct in the late 1800s. The dodo bird also became extinct when the European folks found New Zealand and Australia. The company says that they will use advanced gene editing technology to produce organisms genetically close to extinct species. How close? We don't know. The company says they will have a woolly mammoth calf that is going to be born to a surrogate elephant mother by 2028. I mean, that is right around the corner. Personally, I think this is a fun idea. Lena DeFlores thought it was not a good idea at all, and I said, well, you never know till you try. And as long as the Houston Zoo gets one of these woolly mammoth, little baby woolly mammoths, I think I'd be happy about that. All right. So on now to some more, serious news here. So we got the marathon coming up. Today, Houston city leaders are going to discuss safety and weather plans for the Chevron Houston Marathon taking place on Saturday morning. The marathon is Houston's largest single-day sporting event with 30,000 runners, hundreds of thousands of volunteers and spectators. So be prepared for road closures. The 26.2-mile route shuts down traffic at 6 a.m. Sunday. Downtown, Upper Kirby, West U, Galleria, Memorial Parks, the Memorial Park area, all impacted. So be advised. All right, with the Arctic blast making its way into the area, the Montgomery County Fire Marshal's office is sending out a reminder that many of us will be using heating devices to keep our families warm. Important tips for fire prevention. Keep or maintain at least a 3-foot clearance between your space heater, heating equipment, and anything that can catch on fire. Curtains, bedding, things like that. Inspect and maintain heating equipment for safety. Make sure there are no frayed the power cables and things like that. Space heaters should be turned off every single time you leave the room, and don't fall asleep with them on. Never use your oven to heat your home. That can cause all kinds of problems if the flame goes out and now you're just filling your home with gas. Test your smoke alarms too. That's a good idea to do. And the day to do it would be today or tomorrow before, obviously, the really cold stuff moves in. All right, to another extreme of Mother Nature, firefighters near Los Angeles are continuing work around the clock to get those 2 deadly wildfires under control. 2 more people have died, bringing the total death toll to 27. Dozens of people are still missing. Now, on Thursday, some residents in Los Angeles County returned to their homes to see what was left, even in areas where evacuation orders are lifted. Officials say they might have to wait at least another week. Imagine coming home and seeing that. Crews are still working to clear what could be toxic ash and debris.
The properties have been damaged beyond belief. They are full of sediment, debris, silt, and hazardous materials.
Yeah, thousands of people still aren't being allowed back onto their property. We've had that happen during evacuations too, where you want to get back in your neighborhood, you can't. As crews still need to comb through 10,000 burnt out structures. So we caught up with 4 Windland Houston firefighters offering mutual aid to families in Southern California. Senior Captain A.J. Castillo and engineer operators Jonathan Williams, Chris Mixon, and Travis Hobbs, they drove their fire truck for 23 hours from Houston to California. The crew is working 24 hours on, 24 hours off, and they spent much of this week patrolling the fire line looking for hot spots and contacting and helping residents.
We've all been on several deployments before within the state of Texas. Chris and I have been to multiple deployments in California before, and these 2 guys, their first out-of-state deployment, but none of us have seen anything like this.
Feeling grateful, opportunity to help them out in time of need.
Yeah, it's a really selfless thing to do. The firefighters say they'll be in California until at least the end of this month. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this. Some top musicians are coming together to help the wildfire victims. They're calling it Fire Aid. It's going to be a benefit concert. Right now it's set for January the 30th. It's a one-night only event, and it's going to include performances by performers like Lady Gaga right there, John Mayer right there, quite a guitar player, and Gwen Stefani. And a lot more people too. Unfortunately, Dave Matthews Band is playing there too, throwing shade. I don't like that, his music, but he's a nice guy. But anyway, yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that, but Director Bradley, do you think Dave Matthews Band is watching? They probably aren't. Probably not watching. I really just, that music, I don't know. All right, let's get you ready for, this turned negative here really quickly. I don't know, it's totally my fault. You need a battery-powered light. in your emergency kits. And a rechargeable lantern could be a great addition, especially for a group or a family. In today's emergency gear test, meteorologist John Dawson shows us one that can run for more than 60 hours.
Yes, this lantern has a long run time, which is great for emergency preparedness, but it also has a built-in tripod and a telescoping pole. And on today's emergency gear test, we're going to look at how those features can really help illuminate an area. But I just have to say, this is a really fun light. It is the OutTask portable outdoor light. There's a button on the bottom that deploys the tripod legs, and then it's fully adjustable up to 36 inches tall. Now, my favorite part of this light is this rotating lamp head. You can flip this thing around to just about any direction, helping you to put the light exactly where you want it. Now, when you turn the light on, it's going to start on low, and it's at 40 lumens with a run time of 65 hours. Medium gives you 250 lumens, and on high, this lantern produces 500 lumens with a run time of 6.5 hours. This light actually has two different light temperatures it can produce. It defaults to a white light at 6,500 Kelvin, but it can do a warm light at 3,000 Kelvin. Now, this is not one of the things that I first look for in an emergency light, but it is certainly unique. You charge the built-in battery with a common USB-C cable. It's a huge 12,000 milliamp hours, and you can also tap into that and use it as a power bank to charge your devices like your phone. That output is with both USB-A and USB-C. Now, the lamp head and the pole have an IPX7 rating, making it waterproof. The rest of the body has an IP6 rating, which means you can splash but not submerge. And a final feature that is good for emergencies is an SOS flashing function. I think this is a great light for camping, but I'm giving the OutTask telescopic lantern a level 3 on my emergency kit priority scale. Their website has it priced at $150. Tell me if you have a lantern in your emergency plans. Go to my YouTube channel, just search Meteorologist John Dawson.
Hey, before we go to break, I have some breaking news for you from Fox Weather. This just came down that President-elect Trump, his inauguration ceremony on Monday is going to be moved indoors. You know, they always have it outdoors, right? It's going to be too cold in D.C., so they're moving it indoors again coming up this Monday, January the 20th. And we'll be right back with some winter cold weather preparation tips from Sally Mack coming up next. All right, if you're new to the area, or maybe you're a new homeowner and you haven't been through one of these hard freezes before, you might not really know what to do to prepare. Well, Sally MacDonald went out and visited our friends at Ace Hardware and has a look.
Now is the time to get ready for potentially a few days of below freezing temperatures. So we're talking about the 4 Ps here at Cypress Ace Hardware off Jones Road. We're talking people, pets, pipes, and plants. And I've got Nick Richardson, General Manager, who's going to walk us through some of the things that you might want to consider adding to your toolkit at home to be prepared, right? So let's start with people. What do you have to keep us warm, Nick?
All right, so we have hand warmers for whenever you have to go out and work, go outside, stuff like that, and you want to stay warm. Also, a good personal heater works well because depending on how cold it gets, even with the heater on, it doesn't always help to have a backup just in case.
Absolutely, yeah. Pets, let's talk about pets. You've got a good doggy blanket here. What does this do?
So whenever you have to take your dog out for a walk, you want to put a jacket on them. We do recommend bringing all pets inside. And if you have to put them in the garage, heat lamp bulbs, you want to keep your pets warm as well, but bring them inside. Absolutely.
All right, one of the biggest questions is going to be about the pipes, because we're hearing this could be pipe busting weather, the coldest air that we've seen all season. What's the #1 question that you get here at Cypress Ace Hardware?
What pipe insulation do we need? And we've made a little recommendation for you with the different size pipes. If you're unsure of what size pipe you have, take a picture of it with the tape measure behind it so we can best help guide you on what size pipe insulation you need, because it is important to make sure you have your air gap on your pipe insulation, so that way that acts as a heat barrier so your pipes don't freeze.
Show people exactly what you're talking about.
So this little gap right here in between the pipe, you want to make sure it's all the way around it. So that way it keeps that little barrier for you.
And what pipes do we need to wrap?
So all your water lines on the exterior of the house, also in your attic, you want to make sure all your water lines are wrapped as well.
All right, so many people may already have them wrapped if you get past freezes, but if you're a new homeowner, you just bought a house, you may not know. So you got to crawl up in the attic, basically is what you're telling everybody, right?
Crawl
You
up
just
in
check.
the attic. And if you're unsure, always take a picture of it, and then you can bring it to us, and we can help best guide you on what you need to wrap.
All right, you've also got an example of faucet covers. You have 2 different recommendations for that?
Yeah, so there's 2 different styles. If you have a hose bib that is up against the house, all you do is put the little rubber piece around the faucet handle, and then you'll suck it up against the house. That will act as a barrier for the freeze. And then if you have existing pipe that comes outside of the house, you'll wrap that in pipe insulation, then use the black case around that, and then put the rubber band around the faucet, and that will help keep it warm.
All right, if you have a sprinkler system, you recommend draining that, right? And then what do you do with the backflow? This is the part that like sticks out of the ground.
Yep, so you want to turn both of your valves off, and then you're going to open the bleeder valves, let it drain out, and then when you're done with that, you'll wrap your existing pipes on the bottom of it and the side, and then either you can use a pipe blanket, or if we're out of those, you can always use a towel with a bag over it and then tape it.
Okay, so this is the backflow valve insulator that
Correct.
you all sell.
And that's like a little sleeve that goes right over it.
Oh, that's handy. And then you could also though use, you said towels, sheets, newspapers, as long as they're
Yeah,
wrapped
you
with
want to
a
wrap
bag.
them with a plastic bag, so that way, because you can actually do more damage if you leave an existing towel and not wrap it in plastic.
Right. Okay, so hopefully we're not running into Cypress Ace Hardware the day after the freeze to get repair material, and you take the steps now ahead of time.
Yep.
If you don't have these things, or your local hardware store does run out of you can always use a styrofoam cup, right? We've seen that before.
Yep, the
for
Whataburger cup
faucets.
works well from what we've seen.
From what we've seen. And pool noodles. People
Pool
have
noodles.
said pool noodles can work as well.
Yep.
All right, very good. Any other words of advice?
Don't wait. Go ahead and prepare now, because when it does happen, there could be not enough supplies for you to be able to prepare correctly. So don't wait.
Thank you, Nick. We appreciate it. And everybody stay safe and keep following the forecast for any updates or changes.
Excellent, Sally. Thank you so much for that. And up ahead, I'll show you the latest forecast that we have, brand new models. Show you what they're saying. All right, so I've been sharing this graphic with you here for the last 2 days here, comparing the European and GFS American computer models. The brand new GFS model, and look, as I told you this morning, these are going to waver. They're going to change each run a little bit. It hasn't really changed its overall perspective of snow to the north, mixed precip and some sleet, maybe ice for Houston, and then more rain to the south. This is just a snapshot at 4 a.m. Tuesday. The GFS is now going a teensy bit warmer than it was before, but still close enough that we're, concerned. As far as snowfall, it is actually showing some snow in Houston during the day on Tuesday, and so that'll be interesting. The crazy thing is over there in Louisiana, the fact that it's showing 6.8 inches of snow in Lafayette, that would be historic for them. It's probably not going to happen, but this is what the model's showing us. Stay tuned. I will see you on the news at noon.